After 60, these 5 subtle psychological cues will show a man is truly in love with you. Older men can say many things, but when they're truly in love, it shows in patterns. Small, consistent shifts that reveal the heart more than words ever could. Many believe men after 60 hide their love perfectly, but psychology shows something different. Love always leaves clues. It's written in their behavior, embedded in their choices, revealed in patterns they don't even realize they're creating. Hi, it's Vernon again. Today, I'll share 5 hidden psychological patterns that reveal when a man is truly in love with you, so you'll never have to wonder where his heart really is. After decades of observing relationships, I've learned that true love in men isn't about grand gestures or perfect words. It's about the subtle, repeated behaviors that emerge when their heart is genuinely invested. But before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe if you're a woman who values wisdom about love, relationships, and emotional intelligence after 60. This channel is dedicated to sharing elderly wisdom that helps you navigate love with confidence and clarity. You might wonder, but Vernon, how do I spot these hidden patterns in real life? Well, it starts with something simple yet profound.
1. Emotional investment over time. When a man is truly in love, his emotional involvement doesn't peak and plateau. It deepens progressively, like roots growing stronger underground. Genuine love triggers a specific neural response in men that makes them increasingly invested in the relationship's future. It's not about intensity in the moment. It's about consistent emotional growth over weeks and months. This happens because true love activates the brain's reward system differently than infatuation or attraction. Research from the University of Rochester shows that when men experience authentic love, their brains begin producing higher levels of oxytocin and vasopressin, hormones that create deep bonding and long-term attachment. Unlike the dopamine rush of early attraction, these chemicals build slowly and create lasting emotional investment. When a man truly loves you, his care doesn't diminish with familiarity. Instead, it compounds. He becomes more curious about your thoughts, more concerned about your well-being, more interested in your dreams. His questions become deeper, his attention more nuanced, his memory more precise about what matters to you. You'll notice this pattern in how he talks about the future. Early in relationships, men might speak about tomorrow, next week, perhaps next month. But when true love develops, his timeline extends. He begins mentioning things he wants to do with you next year, places he'd like to travel with you someday, experiences he hopes you'll share together down the road. This isn't planning, it's psychological integration. His mind has begun weaving you into his long-term vision of happiness. The emotional investment also shows in how he handles relationship challenges. Instead of pulling away when difficulties arise, he leans in. He asks questions about what's bothering you, rather than assuming it will pass. He suggests solutions rather than waiting for problems to resolve themselves. He invests emotional energy in understanding and improving the relationship because he sees it as part of his future well-being. True love rewires a man's brain to see your happiness as directly connected to his own emotional satisfaction. This creates what researchers call interdependent self-construal, where your well-being becomes integrated into his sense of personal fulfillment. Now, I'm curious. Have you ever noticed a man's attention deepening over time rather than fading? Share in the comments below your experience with this pattern. Your story might help another woman recognize this beautiful sign of true love. But love isn't only measured in time, it's revealed in attention. Watch closely, and you'll see it in how he treats the smallest details that matter only to you.
2. Deep listening and remembering small details. Love also shows itself through deep listening and remembering small details. A man in love carries not only the milestones, but the little truths that make you uniquely you. This goes far beyond remembering your birthday or anniversary. I'm talking about him recalling that you mentioned feeling nervous about a conversation with your sister 3 weeks ago, or remembering that you prefer your coffee slightly cooler than most people, or bringing up a book you mentioned wanting to read in a casual conversation from last month. He remembers the way you described your childhood home, the specific reason you don't like certain foods, the dreams you shared during a quiet evening. Years ago, I was dating someone very special, and I noticed myself doing exactly this. I'd remember that she felt self-conscious about her laugh, though I found it delightful. That she loved the sound of rain but worried about her hair getting wet. That she had a complicated relationship with her mother that flared up around holidays. These weren't things she repeatedly told me or emphasized as important. They were details I absorbed because every part of who she was mattered to me. I found myself bringing her tea without being asked because I'd noticed she always made herself a cup around 4 in the afternoon. I'd avoid suggesting certain restaurants because she'd mentioned once, almost in passing, that they reminded her of a difficult time in her life. This wasn't conscious effort. My brain was naturally cataloging everything about her because she'd become central to my emotional world. When a man is truly in love, his brain undergoes what researchers call enhanced encoding for emotionally significant information. His mind automatically prioritizes and stores information about you because you've become psychologically significant to his identity and future planning. As the famous psychologist John Gottman once observed in his research, in healthy relationships, partners become experts on each other's inner worlds. This expertise doesn't happen by accident. It happens when someone's heart is truly invested. This selective attention isn't conscious. He's not trying to remember these details. His brain is naturally cataloging them because you matter deeply to him. And when those details begin to matter, something fascinating happens. His decisions start to shift in ways that show you've become part of his inner compass.
3. Consistent prioritization. A man in true love doesn't just make room for you occasionally. He begins restructuring his life around your shared future. And this shift happens naturally, almost unconsciously. This isn't about him giving up his identity or interests. It's about a fundamental shift in how he allocates his time, energy, and emotional resources. When decisions arise, both small daily choices and major life decisions, you're not an afterthought to be squeezed in later. You're a primary consideration woven into his decision-making process. You'll notice this in seemingly small moments. He checks with you before making weekend plans, even casual ones. He considers your schedule when scheduling work commitments that might affect your time together. He thinks about your preferences when choosing restaurants, movies, or activities. These aren't grand gestures. They're the quiet evidence of a mind that has made you central to his decision-making process. The shift becomes more apparent in larger decisions. He might choose a job opportunity based partly on how it will affect your relationship. He considers your feelings about where to live, how to spend holidays, what social commitments to make. Again, this isn't about losing his autonomy. It's about a psychological reorientation where your shared well-being becomes integral to his personal satisfaction. The psychology behind this pattern is rooted in what researchers call relationship centrality. When a man truly loves you, the relationship moves from the periphery of his life toward the center. Not because he's sacrificing his autonomy, but because his brain has literally rewired to see your shared happiness as essential to his own well-being. True love creates what psychologists term cognitive interdependence. His decision-making process naturally begins including your needs, preferences, and feelings as integral factors, not secondary considerations. This happens because the neural pathways associated with reward and satisfaction become connected to your happiness and the health of your relationship. You can distinguish this from codependency because he's not losing himself in the process. He's still making his own choices, pursuing his own interests, maintaining his own friendships. But now there's an additional layer of consideration that wasn't there before. A natural inclusion of your well-being in his personal calculus of what makes life good. Maya Angelou beautifully put it, "Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope." When a man truly loves you, his choices reflect this truth. If this resonates with you, share this video with women in your life who might need to recognize these patterns. Of course, love isn't just about what he gives you, it's also about what he dares to show. The real test comes when the walls he's carried for decades begin to come down. 4. Vulnerability and emotional openness. You'll often know his feelings are real when he lets his walls down. A man who starts revealing fears, insecurities, or dreams he normally guards is showing you just how deeply he trusts you. And that's when love has truly taken root. Men are often socialized from childhood to be emotionally self-sufficient, to handle challenges independently, to project strength and competence. This conditioning runs deep, creating psychological barriers that most men maintain even in close relationships.
But true love creates a unique form of psychological safety that allows these protective walls to come down naturally. He might share fears about his career that keep him awake at night, concerns about aging and what it means for his identity, dreams he's never voiced because they seem too vulnerable or ambitious. He may tell you about childhood memories that shaped him, past failures that still affect his confidence, or moments of doubt he's never admitted to anyone else. I remember my younger brother sharing with me the moment he knew he truly loved his wife. He said, "Vernon, I found myself telling her about the time I cried in 4th grade when kids made fun of my stutter. I hadn't thought about that incident in 30 years, and I certainly had never told anyone about it, not even you. But with her, sitting in her kitchen on a random Tuesday evening, it just came out naturally. I wasn't planning to be vulnerable. I wasn't trying to deepen our connection. It just happened because I felt completely safe with her." This vulnerability isn't weakness. It's profound trust manifesting in real time. When a man reveals his insecurities, his hopes, his past hurts, his fears about the future, he's essentially saying, "I trust you with the parts of me I don't show the world. I believe you'll handle my authentic self with care." The psychological explanation lies in attachment theory and neurobiological research. True love activates what researchers call secure base behavior, the sense that this person is a safe harbor for his authentic self. His nervous system literally calms in your presence, reducing cortisol levels and allowing him to access and share emotions he typically suppresses for psychological protection. Studies from the University of Virginia show that when men feel securely attached to a romantic partner, their brain's threat detection systems become less active, while areas associated with emotional processing and social bonding increase in activity. This neurological shift makes emotional vulnerability not just possible, but natural and rewarding. As Brené Brown's research on vulnerability shows us, we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known. When a man does this with you, it's one of the clearest signs that his heart is genuinely invested. And once those walls fall, you'll notice one more change, subtle but unmistakable. It's the way his care for you begins to feel less like a choice and more like instinct.
5. Protective and nurturing instincts. Real love often awakens a man's protective side. Suddenly, he's attuned to your comfort, your safety, your peace of mind, in ways so natural they happen before he even realizes it. This isn't about controlling behavior or possessiveness. Those come from insecurity and fear. I'm talking about genuine care that shows up in small, consistent ways that feel nurturing rather than restrictive. He notices when you're tired before you mention it and gently suggests you rest. He pays attention to whether you're warm enough in a restaurant, whether you've eaten when you're stressed, whether you seem overwhelmed by daily pressures. Carl Jung wrote, "Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage." When a man truly loves you, both dynamics are at play. He draws strength from your love, and his love gives him the courage to protect and nurture you. A man in love begins to notice things he never noticed before. The way you unconsciously rub your neck when you're stressed, how you get quiet when you're processing difficult emotions, the subtle signs that indicate you need support even when you haven't asked for it directly. He naturally positions himself to shield you from crowds, remembers to ask about situations that were worrying you, notices changes in your mood or energy levels. This protective instinct emerges because true love creates what psychologists call empathic accuracy. His emotional radar becomes finely tuned to your emotional states and physical comfort. Research from the University of Rochester shows that when men are deeply bonded to a partner, they develop heightened sensitivity to their partner's nonverbal cues and emotional needs. The neurological basis is fascinating. Love activates mirror neurons more strongly, creating an unconscious mimicry of your emotional states. When you're uncomfortable, he feels uncomfortable. When you're at peace, he feels more at peace. This neurological mirroring creates natural protective responses. He's not trying to fix everything or take control of your life, but he's naturally alert to opportunities to care for you, to make your world a little softer, a little safer, a little more comfortable. This nurturing instinct feels different from control because it enhances your autonomy rather than restricting it. It's important to save this video for future reference because these patterns can be subtle and easy to miss in the moment. Having this framework helps you recognize true love when it's growing. Because at the end of the day, true love is never hidden. It always shows in patterns.
By staying with me until now, you've already seen how love leaves a trail of signs in the way a man invests his time, remembers the smallest details, opens his heart, chooses your life together, and quietly watches over your well-being. When a man truly loves you, it's not a single moment or phrase. It's the hidden patterns repeated over time that tell the real story. These patterns emerge not from conscious effort, but from the natural psychological shifts that occur when someone's heart is genuinely invested in your happiness and well-being. As I've learned through years of observing human relationships, love is not proven in words once spoken, but in patterns lived over and over again. These patterns are the language of the heart, more reliable than promises, more meaningful than grand gestures, more honest than the prettiest declarations. Now, I'm genuinely curious. Which of these 5 patterns resonates with you most? Have you recognized any of these signs in your own relationships, past or present? Comment below and let me know. Your insight might help another woman recognize true love in her own life. I've created an entire library of videos about understanding love, relationships, and emotional wisdom after 60, and they're all here on this channel. Hit like, subscribe, and explore. You'll discover insights designed specifically for the wise, experienced woman you've become. I'm Vernon. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.